Shelby, North Carolina. February 14, 2000, Valentine's Day. A father wakes up at 6:30 in the morning to get his children ready for school. He walks to their bedroom, expecting to find them both asleep. His son is there. His 9-year-old daughter is not. Her bed is made. Her backpack is gone. The front door is unlocked. Asha Degree has vanished into the night. But here's what makes this case different from every other missing child case you've ever heard. Multiple witnesses saw her, walking alone on a highway, in the middle of a storm, at 4 o'clock in the morning, and when someone tried to help her, she ran into the woods and was never seen again. This is the red string. Let me take you back to the days before Asha disappeared. Because understanding who she was, that's the key to understanding why this case has haunted investigators for 25 years. Asha Degree was born on August 5th. She lived with her parents Harold and Aquila, and her older brother O'Brien, in a quiet subdivision on Oakcrest Drive in Shelby, North Carolina. By all accounts, Asha was a happy child. Shy, but happy. She was a good student. Her teacher, Susan Beam, regularly rewarded her for good behavior. Asha was often named Student of the Week. She played basketball. It was her first year on the team. She wasn't the best player, but she loved it. She loved being part of a team. The Degrees were a close family. Harold worked at Pittsburgh Plate Glass. Aquila worked at Kauai America, building pianos. They were strict parents, protective parents. Asha and O'Brien weren't allowed to play outside unsupervised. They weren't allowed to answer the door when their parents weren't home. This wasn't a troubled child. This wasn't a child running away from abuse or neglect. By every measure, Asha Degree had a stable, loving home. So what happened on February 14th, February 13th, 2000, the day before Asha disappeared? It was a Sunday. Asha and O'Brien both had basketball games that day. Asha's team lost. She was upset about it, but not devastated, not traumatized, just disappointed, the way a 9-year-old gets disappointed. That evening, the family went to church. They came home, had dinner together, watched television. Around 8 p.m., the power went out. A storm was rolling in, heavy rain, strong winds, the kind of night you stay inside. Harold and Aquila put the children to bed early because of the power outage. Asha and O'Brien shared a bedroom. They slept in separate twin beds. At 2:30 in the morning, Harold woke up. The power was still out. He checked on the children. Both were in their beds, asleep. He went back to his own room. 4 hours later, at 6:30 a.m., Aquila went to wake the children for school. O'Brien was there. Asha was not. Her bed was made, neatly made. Her backpack was gone. So were some of her clothes. The front door was unlocked from the inside. There was no sign of forced entry, no sign of struggle, no broken windows, no disturbed locks. Asha Degree had simply left. Harold and Aquila immediately called the police. By 6:45 a.m., officers were at the house. By 7 a.m., a full search was underway. Search dogs were brought in. They picked up Asha's scent, but it led nowhere. The heavy rain had washed away most traces. Investigators canvassed the neighborhood. Did anyone see anything? Hear anything? Nothing. Until the calls started coming in. Around noon on February 14th, police received a call from a truck driver. He said he'd been driving south on Highway 18 around 4 o'clock that morning. He saw a young girl walking on the side of the road, alone, in the rain. He didn't stop. He assumed she was with someone nearby, but the image stayed with him. When he heard about the missing girl on the news, he called immediately. Then another witness came forward. A woman said she'd also seen the girl around 4 a.m. She said the child was walking along Highway 18, about 1.3 miles from the Degree home. This witness did something the truck driver didn't. She turned her car around. She was worried about the girl walking alone in the storm, but when she got close, the girl saw the car approaching and ran. She left the roadway and disappeared into the woods. The woman never saw her again. Think about this for a moment. A 9-year-old girl, shy, well-behaved, never been in trouble, leaves her house in the middle of the night, during a storm, walks over a mile in heavy rain and wind, and when someone tries to help her, she runs. Why? Investigators had the same question, and they couldn't find an answer that made sense. This wasn't typical runaway behavior. Most children who run away are at least 12 years old. They usually have a reason: abuse at home, problems at school, conflict with parents. Asha had none of those things. Her parents were loving and attentive. Her grades were good. She had friends. She was happy. The FBI got involved. So did the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation. They interviewed everyone: family members, teachers, classmates, neighbors, church members. No one could explain why Asha would leave her house that night. One theory emerged. Maybe Asha was meeting someone she trusted, someone who had groomed her, convinced her to sneak out. But there was no evidence of that. No suspicious phone calls, no strange visitors. No one in Asha's life raised red flags. The days turned into weeks. The weeks turned into months. The massive search efforts scaled back. The media attention faded. Asha Degree became another missing child, another face on a poster, another family waiting for answers that never came. Until August 3, 2001, 18 months after Asha disappeared. Burke County, North Carolina, about 30 miles north of Shelby, a construction crew is working on an access road for a new home. One of the workers, a man named Terry Fleming, is operating a grader when he uncovers something in the dirt: a backpack, wrapped in 2 black plastic trash bags. Fleming opens it. Inside he finds a name and phone number written on a piece of paper: Asha Degree. He immediately calls the police. When investigators arrive and examine the backpack, they find Asha's belongings inside: her clothes, some photographs, a pencil, a Dr. Seuss book. But they also find items that didn't belong to Asha: a white t-shirt with the name of a construction company on it, and a photograph of a young African-American girl, not Asha. These items had never been in Asha's possession before she disappeared, which means someone gave them to her, or someone put them in her bag after she was taken. The backpack had been deliberately wrapped and buried. Someone wanted it hidden. Someone wanted it to stay hidden. But why bury the backpack 30 miles away from where Asha was last seen? Why not destroy it completely? Why not throw it in a lake or burn it? Investigators couldn't answer those questions either. The discovery of the backpack did one thing, though. It confirmed what everyone had feared but no one wanted to say out loud. Asha Degree wasn't a runaway. She had been abducted. The years passed: 2002, 2005, 2010, 2015. Harold and Aquila Degree never gave up. They established a scholarship in Asha's name. They hosted an annual walk to raise awareness. Every year the walk would start at their home and end at a billboard on Highway 18, near where Asha was last seen. And they kept Asha's room exactly as it was, her belongings untouched, her pictures on the walls. "I fully expect her to walk through the door," Aquila said in an interview. "I still believe my daughter is alive." But behind the scenes, investigators were beginning to piece together a different story. In February 2015, the FBI announced they were re-examining the case. New technology, new techniques, new eyes looking at old evidence. They offered a reward: $25,000 for information leading to an arrest and conviction. Then in May 2016, the FBI released new information: a possible break in the case. They disclosed that Asha may have been seen getting into a dark green car on the morning she disappeared. A 1970s Lincoln Continental Mark IV, or possibly a Ford Thunderbird, dark green with rust around the wheel wells. Someone had seen something, someone who hadn't come forward in 2000. But now, 16 years later, they were talking. The FBI described the car as having been occupied 2 times on the day of Asha's disappearance. Investigators believed they were getting close. After 16 years of dead ends and false leads, finally a real clue. But they still didn't have a suspect. They still didn't have a body. They still didn't have answers. Until 2024, the FBI, along with the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office and the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation, execute multiple search warrants. They search properties in Shelby and the surrounding areas. They're looking for something specific, something connected to physical evidence in the case. The searches focus on properties owned by or connected to a family named Dedmon, Roy and Connie Dedmon, and their daughters Lizzie and Sarah. The Dedmons lived in Cleveland County in 2000. They operated care homes for elderly residents. Search warrants reveal something chilling. A hair sample found on Asha's undershirt, a hair that had been preserved as evidence for 23 years, finally gets tested with new DNA technology. The hair belongs to Lee Dedmon Ramirez, one of the Dedmon daughters. She was 13 years old when Asha disappeared. More DNA evidence emerges. Touch DNA from the plastic trash bags that held Asha's backpack. The DNA belongs to Russell Underhill, a man who was a resident in one of the Dedmon family's care homes. Underhill died in 2000. He's not been named as a suspect, but his DNA is on the bags that wrapped Asha's belongings. Then another piece of the puzzle falls into place. September 18, 2024, a man walks into the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office. His name is later revealed in court documents as someone who knew the Dedmon daughters in the mid-2000s. He tells detectives about parties he attended with Lizzie and Sarah Dedmon. He describes one party in particular, a party where Lizzie was emotional, crying, distraught. According to this witness, Lizzie made statements that night, statements about Asha Degree, statements that she killed Asha Degree. The witness didn't take it seriously at the time. He thought it was drunken rambling, attention-seeking behavior. But years later, after seeing the news coverage of the searches, he realized what he'd heard, and he came forward. In February 2025, additional search warrants are executed. Cell phones belonging to Roy Dedmon, Lizzie Foster, formerly Dedmon, and Sarah Capel, formerly Dedmon, are seized. The warrants reveal something investigators now believe to be true. Asha Degree was a victim of homicide. Her body was concealed. Court documents state that because Lizzie and Sarah were 16 and 15 years old in 2000, investigators believe adult assistance from their parents, Roy and Connie Dedmon, would have been necessary in the execution and/or concealment of the crime. Roy and Connie Dedmon are named as suspects, so are their daughters, Lizzie Foster and Sarah Capel. But here's what investigators haven't found. They haven't found Asha's body. Despite multiple searches of properties connected to the Dedmons, despite excavating land and searching buildings, Asha Degree has not been recovered. An attorney for Roy Dedmon made a statement. He said the investigation would soon reveal that a now deceased individual was responsible for Asha's disappearance. He declined to say more. Was he referring to Russell Underhill, the care home resident whose DNA was on the trash bags? Or someone else? Investigators aren't saying. The case remains open. The searches continue. Let me walk you through what investigators believe happened on the night Asha disappeared. Sometime between 2:30 a.m. and 4 a.m. on February 14, 2000, Asha Degree left her house. She packed her backpack. She took some of her belongings. She walked out the front door, into a storm, and headed south on Highway 8. Why did she leave? Investigators now believe she was lured out. Someone convinced her to meet them, someone she may have trusted. The Dedmon family connection suggests a possibility. Roy and Connie Dedmon operated care homes. They had multiple properties. They had access to vehicles, including potentially a dark green Lincoln Continental or Ford Thunderbird. If Asha knew them, if she had some reason to trust them, that could explain why she left her house willingly, why she walked over a mile in the rain, why she was seen on Highway 18 at 4 a.m. But when the motorist turned around to check on her, when the car approached, Asha ran. She ran into the woods. Did she realize something was wrong? Did she get scared? Or was she already running from someone else, someone who was following her? Investigators believe Asha was picked up shortly after she ran into the woods. The dark green car, the two occupants mentioned in FBI reports. Someone took her. Someone who knew exactly what they were doing. Someone who had planned this. Asha was driven somewhere, possibly to one of the Dedmon properties, possibly to one of their care homes, and then she was killed. Her body was concealed. Her belongings were wrapped in trash bags and buried 30 miles away, 18 months later. Why bury the backpack? Why not destroy it completely? Maybe they couldn't. Maybe it was too risky to burn it or dispose of it in a way that might draw attention. Maybe burying it seemed like the safest option. Or maybe, whoever buried it wanted it to be found eventually. Wanted Asha to be remembered. Wanted some piece of her to survive. We may never know. Today, Asha Degree would be 35 years old. August 5, 2025 was her birthday. Her parents still live in the same house on Oakcrest Drive. Her room is still there. Her pictures still hang on the walls. Harold and Aquila still hold the annual walk, still raise awareness, still hope. After 25 years, I still believe my daughter is alive, Aquila said recently. I do not believe she is dead, and I know someone knows something. The FBI has released age-progressed photos showing what Asha might look like now as an adult. A woman in her 30s, with her mother's eyes and her father's smile. The reward for information has grown. $75,000 from the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office, $25,000 from the FBI, $25,000 from the North Carolina governor. They missed $25,000 for answers. But money hasn't brought those answers yet. The investigation continues, the searches continue, the questions remain. Who convinced Asha to leave her house that night? What happened in those woods after she ran from the motorist? Where is her body? And will the Dedmon family, any of them, ever be charged with her murder? The case of Asha Degree is different from most missing children cases in one critical way. We know she left her house. We know she was seen. We know approximately when and where she disappeared. We have physical evidence, DNA, witnesses, a timeline, and yet, 25 years later, we still don't have Asha. Investigators believe they're close, closer than they've ever been. The DNA evidence linking the Dedmon family is significant. The witness who came forward in his statement about Lizzie's confession, that's significant too. But without a body, without a confession, without someone breaking their silence, this case remains unsolved. Someone knows what happened to Asha Degree. Someone knows where she is. Maybe it's Lee Dedmon, who refuses to cooperate with investigators. Maybe it's his wife Connie, who has been charged with obstruction of justice. Maybe it's their daughters Lizzie and Sarah, who were teenagers in 2000 and are now in their 40s. Maybe it's someone else entirely. Someone who has carried this secret for 25 years. Someone who was there. Someone who saw. Someone who knows. Shelby, North Carolina is a small town. People know each other. People talk. Secrets don't stay hidden forever. And in small towns, guilt has a way of surfacing, especially after 25 years. February 14th, Valentine's Day. The day Harold and Aquila Degree got married in the day Asha disappeared in 2000. Every year on this date, the Degree family doesn't celebrate their anniversary. They walk, they remember, they search, and they wait for a phone call, for a knock on the door, for someone to finally tell the truth. Asha Aquila Degree, born August 5th, missing since February 14th, a shy 9-year-old girl who loved basketball and being student of the week, who had a close family and a stable home, who had no reason to run away. A girl who walked into a storm and never came home. Shelby's sweetheart, still missing, still remembered, still loved. This is the red string, where the threads of truth, eventually, always, lead us home.